A very warm welcome to you, and thank you so much for joining our Homeopathy 24/7 podcast. We are going to be speaking to an array of international guests who will share their knowledge and experiences of homeopathy with you. We will discuss all types of subjects such as remedies, symptoms, and stories of health. No matter where you are with your homeopathic journey, we aim to inspire you on your quest to natural health and living. The podcast is brought to you by Greensmith, the founder of Homeopathy 24/7, which is a global platform connecting you with a homeopath wherever you are in the world, 24 hours a day. So let's get started with today's chat. Please welcome Mary Greensmith.
Hello, welcome everybody. Lovely to see you. Thank you so much for joining us today. And I'm very pleased to welcome Jonathan Stallick. Jonathan, it's lovely to see you. How are you doing?
Yeah, I'm very good, thank you. Yeah, spring is coming.
It is, at last.
At last.
Jonathan, you have been a homeopath for very, very many years. Just give us a brief update about where you practice and a little bit about yourself and everything you do.
So yeah, so I'm living in Brighton. I practice in Brighton, but to be honest, I see most of my clients now prefer a Zoom session. Even some local people prefer to have a Zoom session. It's, I guess, more convenient, and that's fine by me. And yes, I've been practicing for 35 years, which is pretty amazing. I've had quite a varied life, but it's like homeopathy has been a thread that's been very constant, I would say. It's always been, it's like an obsession. I was going to say it's like an itch that you have to keep on scratching. You know, it's something that is very, very dear to my heart, and it's sort of in my bones, really. And I sort of always have time for it, and it's endlessly varied and exciting, which is not something you say about a lot of jobs. So I love it. Yeah.
We're so lucky, aren't we?
Yeah.
So tell us a little bit then how your practice has changed in 35 years. So obviously that must have been late 80s, so no computers or anything then. So was it very much a local practice you had?
So I was very fortunate. I came out of college and I got to know Mike Strange, who you may remember. He's not around anymore, sadly. But he, I mean, it was so I came into homeopathy in the 80s. So 87, I came out of college, and Mike was seeing quite a lot of people with HIV and AIDS at the time. He practiced in Clapham in South London, and I was that's right. I think I was a receptionist there, and so because I knew Mike, he asked me if I would. He was getting so many patients he couldn't cope, and asked me if I would take his sort of overflow of patients, which I said, yeah, that's fine. And so I got a very sort of a leg up really right from the beginning. And that would become, I think the HIV theme would then become more important a few years later. So I'm just trying to think. So yes, there were no computers. Everything was like all repertorization had to be done by hand. We had these arts and you know, so it would be quite labor intensive, really. I'm just trying to think if there were people. I think people have always come with the same things. I just remember there are all kinds of things that you perhaps don't think about. I remember a guy came to see me right at the beginning who. I remember he was the first patient of the day. So when I arrived, they'd let him into the room, and I walked in, and the sort of stench of urine that sort of hit me, like really quite nauseating. And as I was taking the case, I just thought I can't deal with this. I just really, or I don't want to do it. And so I just said, look, I'm ever so sorry, but I think I said, you know, I think I'm not really qualified for this case. I think you need to find some experience. But it's also those sorts of things about sort of patient management, really, and yeah, how to manage people's foibles and yeah, strange, rare, and peculiar aspects. So I don't know whether do you want me to carry on and talk a bit more about then how that led into the HIV and AIDS field?
Yes, do that. Let's talk about that experience.
So I had, and then I actually left homeopathy for a little while, for a couple of years. I sort of had an initial burning out. Really, I took on probably too much and wasn't experienced at how to deal with all that sort of stuff, and sort of burnt out. So I decided to sort of take a break. In fact, I thought at the time that was it with homeopathy.
Okay.
How wrong I was.
Exactly.
So yes, I just thought, no, that's it. I'll have to find something else. But then 2 years later, so this was in 1990. I was, a friend of mine who was a health visitor was visiting an HIV and AIDS centre quite close to me in South London, and she said, asked me if I'd like to come along with her. So I said, okay. So I went along, and then I just thought it might be a good idea, like a talk about homeopathy, because they had no alternative medicine there. So I just thought a talk about homeopathy wouldn't hurt. And one, I talked to the guy who ran the centre, and he was delighted and wanted me to do it. And so I did this talk, and it was incredibly successful, and they loved it. And the guy, the chief executive of the centre, asked if I'd like to go to practice there and see patients. And I said, no. This is, remember, this was right at the beginning of the whole HIV/AIDS thing. People, I mean, homeopaths were avoiding it. I was going to say like the plague, but avoiding treating people with HIV and AIDS. And so I said no at first, and then he was very encouraging and said, look, just why don't you try it out, do it for maybe a few weeks, see how you get on. I went, okay. And so that's how it all started. And I remember my first patient, very first patient with HIV and AIDS, who had a horrendous history. He was in a lot of pain. He'd had an operation for bowel cancer, and so they'd had to snip the sphincter, his rectal sphincter. And he was in so much pain, and some doses of Staphylococcus aureus and other carcinosin and some other remedies, because he wasn't expected to live. I think he was expected to die within a couple of months. And this had a miraculous effect on him. The pain went immediately. His T cell count went up dramatically. He felt well again from being like completely laid out, no energy. He could live life, and he decided to go traveling, and got murdered in Mallorca. But anyway, I mean, his last couple of months were, he was able
enjoyable.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, gosh, what an amazing story. So then you went on and saw lots of cases.
So then, then there was another centre, the London Lighthouse, which became quite famous in West London, and I applied to there, sort of encouraged by my results that I was getting at the South London centre. So I went to work at that centre, and they gave me a day. A day which they paid me for to see patients, and overall, I think it was over 5 years, I saw about 500, around 500 patients. I did an audit on my results afterwards, and remembering that there were a lot of floaters, people who'd come in, they would come once and they wouldn't come back, and this sort of thing. But even taking that into account, I had about a 50% success rate. In other words, people whose life dramatically changed, got very much better. I think it was about a 50% success rate. So it was, it was very encouraging.
Brilliant. And so, of course, all of that experience and knowledge led to a book.
That's right. But the original book, which I have here, was called AIDS.
Okay. Yeah, That's it. We got it at the beginning. Video is such a weird thing, isn't it?
Yeah, it's
yeah.
It's called AIDS, the Homeopathic Challenge. So that was published in 1996, and it's basically a book of my experiences. I mean, it's a manual for homeopaths, really.
Okay.
Although I think other therapists might find it sort of interesting.
Yeah.
I think it was an interesting time, especially in retrospect, given what we've been through over the last few years with COVID. It's interesting to think back to, the early 90s when people were very much scared and fearful of HIV and AIDS, and there were all kinds of misconceptions in the same way that there were with COVID.
Yeah.
And I think so. That was the sort of the time that I was working in, and it all changed. I mean, there's a lot more people seeing HIV and AIDS patients now, and especially in Africa. And I think there's a lot more confidence in prescribing. I think, but at the time, I decided to practice in a slightly unconventional way, which attracted both plaudits and scathing criticism in probably equal amounts. Yeah. And because at the time, people, you were either a classicist in homeopathy, or you were a heretic.
Okay. Yes.
And so I was doing some quite unusual things in terms of repetition of remedies and potencies and that sort of thing, and multiple remedy prescribing. But it kind of worked. It was good. I was getting results. So yeah.
You had good results, and obviously took that forward then, because now, of course, you are lecturing to homeopaths all around the world on lots of different topics.
Yes, and I mean, I have a series of webinars that are sort of international, and I'm linked up with Centre for Homeopathic Education, so I'm doing some stuff for them. And I've just been invited actually to Mexico in the sort of September, I think it will be, to give some lectures there to Mexican homeopaths, which is very exciting, because I went there to the same place in 1997, I think it was, or 98, and so I remember it sort of vividly. And it was Mexican homeopaths are quite what's the word? They're quite lively.
Yeah.
And I was told not to leave my notes on the lecture because people would nick them.
Take them. Yeah.
They said that the previous year all the translation equipment had been removed.
Okay.
It was funny.
A great experience. Oh, well, that'll be fun. You'll enjoy that. So and now let's come forward to now, because you just completing now another venture, and you've launched a cream. Is that right? Salvex.
Yeah, it's a range actually. So it's going to be. I mean, there are two products at the moment.
Okay.
The rescue cream and the cleansing shower oil, but there will be a range of products when I get my act together. So yes, it's a range for people with eczema, psoriasis, and just dry skin. I mean, it is a therapeutic cream, so it does help inflamed and itchy and dry skin, but can also be used. It's the quality of the cream is of cosmetic quality. It feels really, really nice. We're getting some amazing testimonials from people, both who have eczema, but also just people who have just a dry skin and just want a sort of family moisturizer. So yes, and then so that's just been launched last October.
Okay, tell us a little bit about that process. First, why did you decide, okay, we need this homeopathic cream?
Well, I back in 99 or 97, I think it was actually, we launched myself and Hilary Dorian, who everyone knows, launched a range called Barefoot Botanicals, and which was a variety of different products, but included creams and shampoos and body lotions for people with eczema, called the SOS range. and that did really, really well. But then we sold the company, and this was in the 2013, I think it was, and then they after a while they took the product, the owners of that product took it off the market. I think they wanted to rebrand it, and then they had problems with the rebranding, and I just thought there was an opportunity. I still had formulas that we hadn't used for the old range, and I thought it was an opportunity to launch a really high quality product. I felt that the original product had been dumbed down somewhat, and perhaps wasn't as good as it used to be. So there was an opportunity to launch something that was really top notch. And so, I love finding out about natural active ingredients.
Mm-hmm.
And I love the whole, I love the branding of product. The whole branding process is really interesting and sort of psychological, and sort of that whole sort of marketing aspect. So I threw myself into that. Really, it was something that I enjoy doing. So I thought that's where I want to put my energy. Yeah. And so that's what we did.
Tell us a little bit about what is in this cream and the oils.
Yeah. So I mean, the rescue cream is the sort of hero, if you like, the hero product.
Okay.
And the formula is somewhat based on the old Barefoot SOS cream. So it contains some of the sort of usual suspects, you might say. There's aloe vera, borage oil, jojoba, calendula, and other oils and herbal extracts. Allantoin. I'm just trying to think of all the different. Use mahonia, which is good for psoriasis, and can't remember all the different ingredients. But then I wanted to sort of make it extra special, and I contacted a manufacturer that had done work on an ingredient called Cherimoya, which is a kind of fruit that's grown in South America. And the good thing about it was they'd done scientific studies on its effect on inflammation, and it has high anti-inflammatory effects. And then they recommended that we combine that with beetroot extract, which is very highly hydrating and moisturizing. So these were two sort of special ingredients. So we added those in, and I think the result has been amazing. I mean, the formula now is really amazing, and the results we're getting from it, people are really saying this is the best they've ever used. So the results, I think, have been what we wanted, really.
Brilliant. Well, we're so excited about this, and we'll actually be stocking your creams and your range with the Homeopathy 24/7 kits that we sell around the world. So people will be able to find those as well. But you've already got them in to the UK and the US in various different places, and Canada.
Yeah. So it's getting. It always takes time, for the ball to get rolling.
Yes.
But it's definitely going in the right direction. So
excellent. So what we'll do is get some information about that up with this podcast and the information, so that people can find it and purchase some, obviously. And am I right in thinking it's the sort of product that we can use alongside homeopathic remedies?
That's exactly right. Yes. So, I mean, we're not saying these products are curative. I think they're support products that support homeopathic treatment, but they can also, the rescue cream can be used if people want to wean themselves off steroid creams, for example. There's a what's it called? A protocol to which we can let you have for withdrawing from steroids and sort of substituting the Salvex cream. Which is exciting as well.
That would be a really useful thing to find out more about, Jonathan. And I was just going to say that usually you're only lecturing to homeopaths, but I understand now you're starting to do a few Facebook live webinars for the general public so that they can learn about these things?
Right. Yeah. So I've got a new Facebook group, Homeopathy for coughs, colds, flu, and immunity, which we just launched, which is all very exciting. And so that's getting going. We've got, quite a lot of people have joined already, and we're, hearing people's challenges and issues, and hopefully answering them as well. And then I'm going to set up a Salvex group for people with eczema and psoriasis and dry skin conditions, where we'll do a regular Facebook Live Q&A session and talk to people about how to manage their problem skin.
That's brilliant. And of course, one of those could be that reducing the steroids, because that is a question that we're asked so often.
Big issue, isn't it?
Yeah. And just to be able to talk through or be shown what to do and how to do that is a fantastic opportunity. So we will put all of those links and everything down underneath the podcast so that people can link through. And I think people would be able to find you on your website and on your Facebook page as well. We'll pop those links into.
Cool. That sounds great.
Brilliant. Well, it's lots of information, and obviously you've got a wealth of opportunity. Oh, we also need to add the book link in there as well. So we'll do that so that people can see, some of the results you've been getting.
I'm relaunching the AIDS book as an ebook. That'll be coming out very soon. So, and that'll be available on Amazon. So that's really exciting, because it's been out of print for quite a while now. And I think there's a whole new generation that could find this interesting.
Absolutely. And also just the way that you prescribed it, be really interesting read for homeopaths as well, who obviously have been dealing a lot with COVID and seeing what you went through. And then when COVID started, there must have been some similarities there with
to some degree. I mean, with the HIV and AIDS patients, there was often it was a kind of collapse of the immune system, with often huge amounts of abuse and trauma and venereal, STDs and drug taking and all kinds of things to sort of complicate. So with people with COVID, it's obviously there's the vaccination to take into account, but often it's not quite as complex.
No.
Always. I mean, occasionally it can be, but not always. So it is slightly different. But some of the protocols for treating COVID are a little bit similar, because to some degree, it's like a little bit of a collapse of the immune system. So some of the protocols are similar.
Interesting. Thank you so much. It's been so lovely to talk to you, Jonathan. I hope that we can do this again, actually, because I think we've still got a whole lot to talk about, haven't we?
Yes, could be.
Fantastic.
It's delightful.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Jonathan. It was so lovely to talk to you today, and so interesting, everything that you've been doing, and of course what you're bringing to homeopathy right now as well. Brilliant. Next week, I'm going to be talking to Ren Lloyd. Ren Lloyd is a homeopath in the UK, and she is building specialist teams of homeopaths to treat specifically autism and behavioural issues as well. So she will be talking actually about the complexities of building a practice, and about what it is to be a homeopath, and what a lot of homeopaths need to build their practice as well. So just seeing it from a completely different perspective, seeing the complexity of building a business as a homeopath. So that might be of interest to you. I do hope you're enjoying our episodes, our podcast episodes. It's so important to be spreading the word of homeopathy around the world. So if you have enjoyed today, please do hit the subscribe button, and please do tell your friends about Homeopathy 24/7 podcast. Thank you.
We hope you enjoyed today's episode and look forward to listening to our next one. Please don't forget to follow our podcast on your chosen channel, and please do leave us a review so we can continue to share homeopathy with as many people as possible. If you do have any questions, please do reach out to us on any of our social platforms mentioned in the show notes. We at Homeopathy 24/7 hope to empower you on your natural health journey.